Hello everyone, and welcome to Polititruck. This is a new series I will be starting where it's unscripted podcasts and interviews with sort of people I know and just talking about politics. And my Facebook is fucking ringing as shit. I need to close it. This is unprofessional. So for the first episode we have a guest here. His name is Konstantine. Introduce yourself.
I am from Sofia, Bulgaria. I am your friend. And hello.
That's pretty fucking pathetic. If every person I know has to introduce himself as my friend. Hello, I am not totally paid to be here. I am not waiting for my paycheck, yes. So, basically, what's different about Konstantine, and I'm gonna be, so my idea is to introduce people and talk about different topics with people with different opinions, and just so we can get a different sort of thing every time we record this. The footage in the background, of course, is Euro Truck Simulator. That's the whole idea of a Polititruck. Just, it's a nice game, it's nice footage, it's calming, it's relaxing, and we can ramble about all about politics in the background.
It's a bit boring, but yeah.
Well, that's your opinion, man. So, what's different about Konstantine? He's actually in college or university in Bulgaria, and what are your specialties? What's your bachelor degree that you're striving towards?
I'm currently not actually with a chosen specialty, or whatever they call it in English. As in, I'm going to determine what my bachelor degree is going to be in 2 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You have time to
for now, I'm just studying economics with English, and I'm going to be able to choose between 3 bachelors in the future.
So he's not Jewish.
I'm not Jewish, yeah.
He's an atheist,
How
like me.
How does that have anything to do?
Well, you're studying economics. You're not going to do particularly well. All jokes aside, what we wanted to talk about is, first of all, we have a couple of different things we're going to be talking about today. The first one is the refugee crisis and how to handle it. Now, we all know in Germany, particularly I can talk about it, Konstantine doesn't have that much experience with Germany. I have relatives in Germany, and I visit almost every year. So I'd say last year, for example, I think I spent 2 or 3 months in Germany, actually, which is, I mean, it's a long time, I like to say.
Which city were you in?
I was in Regensburg, and I traveled to Munich, I think 2 times. Munich
So
is the English pronunciation. In case you can't tell, I'm also from Bulgaria. I don't have a very exposed accent. I mean, if you could call it that. I think my English pronunciation is quite
above the
average Bulgarian. Hello, welcome to podcast today.
That's a bit stereotypical.
Feminism, da. So I'm not your average average gulag escapee, so to say.
That completely has nothing to do with Bulgarian accent, but whatever.
But we're trying to make this entertaining, as you said. It's not really fun to watch the background footage for most people. And I apologize for the lagging. My computer is really bad right now. I'm gonna upgrade it in a couple of months, but we'll have to wait. So I'll probably get stock footage at some point if this is too laggy, but I digress. So the refugee crisis. What I've noticed in Germany is that refugees tend to target larger cities. So if you go to Munich or Köln or Nuremberg or Berlin or Frankfurt, Hamburg, all of these major German cities, you're gonna have a lot of refugees because they find it easier to conglomerate in the big cities, which could be used to your advantage if you don't like to be surrounded by violent people who are from a completely different culture with completely different values or lack thereof. You could go to the little villages, and let me tell you, the villages are actually quite nicer than the big cities in Germany. It's they have a strong sense of community. It's really tidy. Almost no crime whatsoever. The houses are very pretty. It's like a paradise town. It's really good, and Germany just happens to be in that part of Europe where they have green fields and good forests. For example, we have all that shit, but we're close to Serbia, which is literally a meadow a dusty meadow of a country. I mean,
Serbia.
Nothing against Serbia, but have you ever been there? Have you ever been? I go to Germany through
But
with a
I'm
bus.
guessing it's better than here.
Oh, whoa. In terms of, we're talking about strictly about geography right now. So in terms of geography, it's strictly Bulgaria has these beautiful mountains, and it even has a goddamn sea. You know,
Yeah, but in terms
Serbia
of
is
government, it's probably
well.
the worst.
I mean, Serbia. Well, there's always Greece, so.
Well, Greece is, it's really bad, but still, I think it's still better than here.
No, Greece is fine.
Economically, maybe not, but
Nothing against the Greeks, but the Romans were better. but you know.
I'm not too informed of this matter, so yeah.
What we're here to talk about is the refugee crisis. For most of Americans, most Americans who defend refugees and say, well, there are women and children there. You have to be,
Most Americans, do we have a statistics on that? Any statistics on
Let me explain what most Americans think of who defends the refugees. Have never actually seen what refugee consequences, or what the consequences of accepting so many refugees is. Because if you look at the statistics, over the course of the last 10 years, even the UK and Germany and France, they have accepted a lot of refugees. And they're big enough countries that they can afford to assimilate those people at that rate. There have been absolutely little to no problems over the last few years about refugees. But recently, over, let's say, last year, because 2014 wasn't that cumbersome in that manner.
2013. It all started in 2013, actually.
Well,
This whole crisis.
it's been really that bad since, I want to say 2 years ago. I mean, 2014 wasn't that bad of a year for the whole crisis, and wasn't really kicking into gear back then, but now it's really something scary. The problem is there are tons and tons of more people who are coming in. It's really just a flood, a literal flood. If you've seen the border gates, if you've seen the ships who are barely sustained above the surface of the water, just drowning dozens of people just because they can't get across the Mediterranean. It's really
That's crazy, It's completely crazy. It's batshit crazy. Why would you choose to do that?
And to those people, so the problem is most of these people probably think all of Europe are xenophobic assholes and racists and hate I hate the Muslims, refugees, I want them to die and all their families. Well, that's simply not the case. If you actually take a look, in Europe, it's not that stable of a system that we're in the first place, and taking in hundreds of thousands and even in the millions of people into our economy without jobs who need feeding from the state, it's not gonna help at all. You can see it with Sweden, you can see it with Germany. Now the UK is actually trying to move itself out of this position with Brexit and so on. But we may talk about that later. You want to talk about Brexit? Do you have any?
Well, I think it's too late to move out of the refugee position in the UK. They should have done this earlier. They should have thought about accepting so many Muslims. Just because they've been accepting these Muslims, I'm not hating on them just because they're from the Middle East or something. I'm hating on them because in the Middle East it is quite common to mistreat women, to have a completely backwards culture to ours. If you don't believe me, you can go there, or you can just watch videos. There's plenty of footage at Live Leak or YouTube or different sites on the internet where you can just see how badly they've been living in there. And that's because people there live in this strange Islamic culture where women are less than human beings. They're subhumans. In Saudi Arabia, they're not allowed to drive. They're not allowed to go outside without a man. If they go outside without a man, they would be brought back by authorities. Yeah, Sharia law. You can have a woman murdered if you just accuse her of being unfaithful to you. There's no real fair trial system in there, like in the West, for example. You don't, if a woman is accused of being unfaithful to her husband, you can just get random two guys from the street, just say, we witnessed it, and yeah, she's gonna
gone,
be killed.
basically.
She's gonna be stoned, or
Yeah, and this is
and a lot of other stuff. They just don't, like non-Muslims. They're very, very violent against them. They like to rape women, as we have seen in Köln on New Year's Eve. Sorry for my English. And yeah, there are a lot of reasons to not want so many people accepted without any fucking checks.
Yeah,
no fucking background checks, no fucking checks at the border, no border police to make sure that they don't go around the entry points, but through the selected entry points that are,
designated for that purpose.
Yeah, they're designated for that purpose.
And the ironic thing, I think, is that so many third-wave feminists are defending refugees and defending Islam. Back a few years ago, or circa 2012, where third-wave feminism started to, become a big thing, it was harmless enough. People were saying, well, these are non-existent issues about sexism in video games and movies and yada yada yada, that sort of bullshit. People were saying, well, those are non-existent issues. What you should really focus on is the mistreating of women in Islam and in their third world countries, such as Saudi Arabia, Iran, and so on and so forth, the Middle East. And it was neutral. They were saying stupid shit. Nobody believed them. Now the dangerous thing is, not only people believe them, but they're actually anti-feminist, if you really think about it, because they're defending the Muslim refugees whose whole culture is the subjugation of women.
Yeah.
Not only are they not doing anything good for women, they're actually doing worse for women, because when you accept so many people whose culture allows for women to be subjugated in a way, you're accepting women to be subjugated in this way. I mean, it's cause and reaction. If you accept 1 million people who are unaware of Western traditions, who are unaware of Western values, who are unaware of Western laws, who think that just because their imaginary friend in the sky told them in a book 2,000, I'm sorry, the Quran is not that old, 1,000 years ago, 1,400 years ago, that it's okay for you to do these things, and do not actually look at the law and see that it's different from their whole country. And it's really a problem that needs addressing. And the first step to addressing is, I believe we shouldn't be angry about this. We shouldn't be hateful about this, because that's not going to get us anything. Because one side is gonna say this, and the other side is gonna say that, and they're gonna be angry at each other. We should listen each other out, because you see this with all of the Western feminists and SJWs and modern liberals, regressive liberals in case. The biggest hard-hitting weapon against these people is just sitting down, maybe for a cigarette, maybe for a cup of tea, and having a rational conversation. If they cannot scream racist and rape and sexist and hate speech, they lose all their powers. If you force them to actually make up a reasonable argument, they lose all basis.
Force who? Feminists?
Yeah.
To make a reasonable argument. I don't think that any of, at least the anti-feminists that I've seen, has actually shown any reason to be debunked by feminists, because simply you can't debunk logic and reason. From what I've seen, feminists, they tend to censor people who don't share their values, their views on life. Like, for example, Milo Yiannopoulos was censored. I mean, how can you be afraid of a fag?
No, people are gonna
because
say
he's gonna say something that's... Oh, I'm not homophobic, it's just I can say the word fag. It doesn't make me homophobe.
He was talking about a cigarette, ladies and gentlemen. Please don't take our podcast off the air.
So yeah, how can you be afraid of what someone's gonna say? How can you be afraid of words? It's
it's the same reason slave owners didn't teach slaves how to write and how to read, because they're afraid if they actually learn, they have power to overthrow them.
If you're afraid of someone,
which is kind of ironic, seeing as most of these people are screaming racism.
If you're afraid someone's speaking against your views, that means your views are probably not going to stand against their arguments. They're going to be debunked.
This is free speech. I mean,
it's the logical assumption that if you're afraid of someone's words, then these words are going to debunk your views or something like that. I don't know, but yeah, it's completely reasonable to see that censorship is a coward's act, and it's if we don't censor people, if we let them speak out their minds, the ones who wanted to censor them, they would be so, how can I say, they would be even more vilified in our eyes, because censoring people against their will is a violation of everyone's freedom of speech, and it's a complete sign, like I probably said already at least 2 times, it's a complete sign that your views are shit. Yeah.
Your opinion is wrong. No, I think the way to solve this problem is to have an actual rational conversation, because I admit it's going to be really hard because most of these people are irrational beings. However, I think it's the way you solve the refugee crisis, which was what we were going on about, is in my opinion, I think you need to enforce laws.
Yes.
You're not going to be the aggressors. Simply enforce hard laws, and if you break them, there is punishment.
Yeah, this is the main problem. You see, when the Muslims started groping women, when Muslim refugees in Cologne started groping women on New Year's Eve, and it blew out, like it was this massive news, like, you know, Muslims groping women, what have we done? We should have rethought of this. You know, people were you know, thinking. A lot of people were thinking about that. What the police and the media did, they tried to cover it all. They did not punish anyone. They did not do a formal investigation. They just tried to cover it all up, like it never happened, and we shouldn't punish Muslims for groping women, which is a sexual harassment, which is sexual assault. And there's also this tendency, if you search on the internet, you can find videos of Muslims protesting, or more like having these parades on German streets, yelling "Heil Hitler," "Death to the Jews," you know, with all these anti-Semitic signs. And the reality is, in Germany, if a white, even if you're not white, if you're not Muslim, and you're just, you know, screaming "Heil Hitler," you would go to jail for at least a few days.
If you were a Jew, you wouldn't.
But if you're a Muslim, if you're screaming "Let's kill the Jews" and "Heil Hitler" in the name of Allah,
it's just your culture.
It's just their culture. Why are you like this? I mean, a lot of Germans say it's because we feel guilt. But why would you feel guilt? First of all, Nazis did not pursue Muslims. There is absolutely no evidence of Nazis having some kind of global war against Muslims. So
I think we're going out.
So they did not go against Muslims. And second, why should you feel responsible for what your great granddaddy or grandfather did? It's completely.
Look, the thing is,
crazy.
This is again a hurricane. It's not really connected to this that much, but I want to talk about it because the thing with Black Lives Matter.
This is the reason we can't have refugees, and I kind of agree with Donald Trump with what he said, that they should temporarily ban refugees.
We can talk about Donald Trump on a later podcast. I think we should focus on the theme of this one.
Yeah, I was talking about the refugees. This is one of the core problems why we can't accept refugees, because most
of them are masquerading as,
or more like the people who are supposed to enforce the law are afraid to act upon it, or do not want to act upon it. They do not want to enforce the law when it comes to Muslims. It's like, and it's not just in Germany.
It's all around.
It's like that in Sweden.
May I take a word for a second?
Yeah.
See, the thing about what he mentioned, their granddads and so on and so forth, is really you could say that about third wave feminism and Black Lives Matter. Most of these people's fathers and mothers never experienced racism or sexism. Most of these people's fathers and mothers were born in the 70s, which I admit wasn't that big of a time, but you definitely didn't have the same racist, society towards black people as you had in the 60s, or God forbid the slavery days. So most of these people, fathers and mothers haven't tasted racism and sexism. So them talking about us owing them something else as repercussions, or us being systemically born racist, is just plain bullshit.
Yeah.
It's
batshit crazy.
It's batshit insane. I mean, if we really wanted to do it, we could play the race card, sure. We could play the race card even more than black people. We were under slavery for 500 years under the Ottomans, who happened to be Muslims. So if we
and we're not even we were mostly white back then, but still can't play the race card against Ottoman Turkey.
And even then,
that's another topic.
Yeah. Even then, you could, if we wanted to, if we really wanted to benefit from something that we had no right to benefit from, and if we wanted to demand things that we have no right to demand, like Black Lives Matter is and feminism is, because let me tell you, in most cases, women have it better. In other cases, men have it better. I know, we can be being more equal is a good thing, I admit, but I think we have gotten to that stage where parading for more rights, it's just one side weighing over the other. I mean, men want better rights than women want better rights than men, and both try to fool themselves with the idea that they're doing it for equality. I think we have reached a state where we're basically equal, and any more than that would be infringing on some rights of the other sex.
There's nothing such as complete equality, first of all. Like, for example, a male can't take a sick leave because he's pregnant, because we don't get pregnant. So there stuff that just, we can't have the same laws for absolutely everything for both genders.
Yeah.
And it's just batshit crazy that these Western feminists...
I think you're overusing the word batshit crazy.
Okay. But I'm still right. At least I think I am. I mean,
well, you're right.
Isn't it completely illogical?
And just
to think that to scream oppression, we are oppressed by some kind of mythical patriarchy here, and to scream that they're somehow they're somehow oppressed because patriarchy. And we all know that Western societies have these magnificent laws when it comes to gender equality, or whatever you want to call it, and women really aren't oppressed. They really are not living in a rape culture. Like,
if you want to have a real rape culture, if you want to see real oppression,
go to Muslim
it exists.
countries. Yeah.
Go again. Take a look at the people you're defending and claiming that they're innocent and so on. And just to close out this, because I think we've reached the end of our podcast, I want to make a final statement. And
this was short.
The big problem is where I think it's a reasonable amount of time for our first podcast. We may make it longer in later episodes, but I want to close on this statement. I think what Konstantine said about opinions, and that's my opinion. I think all of the problems we face today, in a fashion and in a manner, are caused by a culture that cares about people's opinions and it doesn't care about facts. Yeah, it all stems from there. If you think you're oppressed, you have the right to be offended. It doesn't matter if the facts don't say you're oppressed. If you think someone is being racist towards you, it doesn't matter if he's not causing any harm to you, if he's actually not racist towards you. You have the quote-unquote right to be offended. If and people care about opinions, they don't care about facts. And I think I think it's we should maintain a healthy balance, because if you care about facts too much over opinions, you're gonna be a calculating mathematical machine. You might kill half of your populace just because it's easier to feed them. You might go all Stalin and do that sort of things. If you care about opinions more than facts, you become this mess of a human being who, if left to function on his own, will not... I guarantee you, most of these people who are yelling sexist or oppression have no skills in the real world that would benefit them. Therefore, they look to leech off of other systems for their feeding. If you get a fucking island full of Black Lives Matter activists and feminists, I guarantee you they would starve in a month. And I think with that, we'd like to close our first episode. So thank you.
Yeah, feminism is cancer. Goodbye.
Yeah, well, thanks for watching.
And fuck Islam and fuck all religions, but mostly Islam.
Yeah, that's kind of out of the blue. So keep in mind, we have different opinions with me and Konstantine. So whatever I say doesn't mean he thinks it, and whatever he says doesn't mean I think it. We tend to share a lot of our opinions, but if he said something that you think is wrong, I don't necessarily stand by it, and vice versa. If you think that I've said something that's wrong, he doesn't necessarily stand by it. You might want to make a plug, Konstantine, your YouTube channel or Twitter or stuff like that.
Well, you can... I mean, if you want, I can give it to you to write them in the description, because if I just start fucking saying it on the podcast, then people are
#, triple feminist killer XX underscore.
Yeah, people are probably not gonna be able to understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So thanks for watching.
Because my YouTube channel name is kind of unusual, and yeah, it's better to write it down so people can.
I'll link it in.
Although I don't upload anything on my channel, so if you want, subscribe. If you don't. I mean, I don't give a fuck. My YouTube channel was made so I can comment.
Yeah. So with that, thanks for watching. You want to say goodbye?
Goodbye. And this was pretty short.
Just like your dick.